This is a shakedown.
So I'm Jamie Paul, and this is Underwood Homes.
We stripped off the old roof basically before it fell off. We've cut new trusses on, felt and battened it, so at least it's back in the dry. Other side, we've tiled the roadside, and then we'll start on the back. But we'll go inside and show you all the new cut roof that we did for it. This is a new roof that we cut on. I was hoping to save at least the A-frames off the old roof, but they were so rotted and shit, it wasn't worth saving. So cut a whole new thing on, timber ridge, cut the 9x2s on, 8x2 collars, and it's really nice. We've got loads of headroom in here, which is good. We didn't have that before, so that looks good. We've studded off these walls. So we've done the external walls just so we can get some insulation in there. What's this? We cut this hole out yesterday because we finally firmed up all the plans for the party wall we're going to be building. So we're going to be building that in the next couple of weeks. That's coming from floor right up to roof, and that'll split this house from that house. Boys were cutting out these openings yesterday, so that's good. That just lets us go into the other parts of the house when we're upstairs. So that one and that one, I think they got one more opening to do in the other house, and that's a lot of the structural work done in this like front half of the house. We had a good couple of days messing around with the tops of these walls when we took the old roof off. Obviously then there was no structure holding the walls anymore, so they were a bit wobbly and all over the shop. So we spent a few days taking the tops of the walls down, straightening them out along the front, and getting the wall plates bedded on. Because we got the wall plates so level and spot on and parallel, we got the ridge in the right place, all the cuts were the same, so the roof was easy peasy. So then we had to put these collars through, dog-toothed in the middle, which is like a spiky ninja throwing star in the middle. That stops the timbers from being able to move. Bolted through, and that's what gives the house all the strength. The roof can't spread out, so it's held there like that, so it can't move anywhere. Nice and strong. The other week we were talking about trying to get rid of this, and I was undecided. Last week we were at the top. Before we put the new roof in, we had a look, and we started to take bits of it down, but then we realised it was going to be one hell of a job. Like, there was so much stonework to move, and also the top of the chimney was supported by a lot of this, so it wasn't just as simple as dropping it, building it back nice. It was, you know, we'd have to support this whole gable all the way down, and it just turned into a job. And it was like, you know what, time and effort that's going to cost and take to do, we'll just sack it off and crack on with something else. So
this is fascia boards. We're using timber fascia boards on the cottages because it's old school and looks pretty. So they'll be timber and painted. So what we're doing is just putting a couple of coats of wood primer and undercoat, just because I'm not 100% what colour we're going to finish it in yet. But at least if I get a couple of coats of this on there, we can nail it up, and then it's protected from rain and things like that a bit more. So Cap did 2 coats last week. I'm just actually putting a 3rd coat on just so it's looked after and we had enough in the tin. So I'm just doing that now, and then tomorrow we can nail the fascias up and start setting out the tiles and things like that. Okay, so we're getting ready now for the felt and batten. So first of all, we roll out this black stuff. I can't actually remember the name of this stuff, but essentially you roll that across where the loft insulation sits in the joists. It's just so if you lay your loft insulation a bit too close to the roof, that plastic stuff will stop the contact, so it won't touch the felt and draw any damp in. It's also like a crinkly plastic, so it allows airflow past the plastic, past the loft wall, so that the roof can circulate air. So we put that in first, and then what we do, go through and roll out our first layer of roof felt, make sure that's nice and square off the ridge and all sat nice along the wall plate. Then we need to work out our batten gauge for the tiles. So you always measure down from the top. You leave about a 20mm gap at the top for the nib of the top tile to sit on top of the top batten, and the ridge tile still fits over it. So you come down about 20mm, and then you work out your batten gauge. I think on these battens it was about 11 inches per tile. So what you do, you come down in 11 inches from that top, and you need to finish near the bottom on a last full tile. And what you need to do is avoid having a cut. The last thing you want to see in a roof is like a cut tile, you know, like a half cut of a tile, either at the top of the roof. You don't want to see a cut edge along where the ridge sits, and also at the bottom going into the gutter. The last thing you want is like a tile cut in half all the way along there. So over the last 2 or 3 battens, you need to kind of evenly spread them out. I think on this roof we ended up with 2 cut tiles to kind of blend out the cut so it didn't look as aggressive. So, I mean, it's quite a lot of work. You have to shoulder each tile so that they sit down a bit lower on each one. But it's worth it because although you're going through that extra hassle of cutting 2 or 3 courses to make them sit nice and pretty, the end result is nice because the tiles look nice. You can't really tell they've been cut, and also you don't see any cut edges, and it just works out nice. So a bit of head scratching setting those first ones out, but once they're set, it all looks good and is worth the extra effort.
So this is the back of the roof. Got it all felt and battened, watertight. Like I said, we're just waiting until we finish the front, and then we'll jump on the back, get that tiled in. At the minute, we've only battened properly down to here. These 2 are just temporary. When we move on to this next part of the next phase of the build, basically, so a flat roof is going to come off of this roof, like that, straight across, and that'll be the dormer window. That's the flat roof to the dormer window of the upstairs bedrooms in each of these plots. So that's why we've left that down, so we can add on to it later. We had to dig a foot in through here because we've got to build a party wall, which is not as fun as it actually sounds. It's basically just a wall that separates 2 houses. So this side is plot 3, this side is plot 2. Yeah, we dug down, found where the house footing started, both sides, and then we just connected it up through the middle, basically with concrete. So this has got to be built with concrete blocks, basically 2 skins of concrete block, one this side, 50mm cavity, another concrete block, and they've got to be higher density block, which I can't remember what it was. I think standard block's like 7 Newton meters or something, and these ones are like nearly 10, so they're really heavy. That is mainly for sound, like to stop sound going through from one house to the other. And that wall's got to go from existing floor right the way to the roof felt with some fire socks in the top. So, and then it's a fire break as well. So if one house is on fire, it doesn't pass through into the next house. These are what we use to tie our blockwork to the house. They're called furfix or starter bars or starter ties, something like that. Basically, we just bolt these to the existing wall, and they have a little wall tie on them somewhere. There. Every course of your blockwork, you put one of these wall ties in there, slots in there, twists, and that'll sit in between each course of blockwork, and that'll tie the wall to the existing wall, hold the whole house together, stop the new blockwork from moving or wobbling, and just make a really strong job. This is our first set of proper drawings of what we're actually trying to do with the job. Ground floor. This is the bit we've just put the new roof on, so that's like the front half of the house. This is the bit I was on about, taking the big stone walls down, and I'll show you in a minute. But basically we want to create a nice big open plan kitchen downstairs that is going to flow out into the new extension we're building for each house. So they've got a nice big kitchen diner, and even though it's quite a small house downstairs, that'll make it feel a lot bigger. So we're trying to do that, and I'll show you over here what I'm talking about. Ignore the broken digger. That's broke down while I was trying to dig a hole, so we're just waiting for that to be fixed. But basically, these are the 2 walls. We've got steels going in at the new ceiling height, which is about here somewhere. So all of this wall is going to be open from the far end to this middle pillar, and the same here from this middle pillar to the other side of that door. And the plan was to prop the whole wall up, drop the lower section, put the new steels in, take the props out, easy peasy. Doing a test hole to see what the ground was like, whether this pier would take all of that weight pushing down on it. We realised that the ground is crap. A lot of this village was quarried at one point, so luckily the house is on actual solid ground, but a few meters off, when they built this extension later on, it's just on crap ground. So the ground's not really good enough for us to underpin without digging a huge hole quite deep. We can't prop it and put the steels in because the ground won't support the weight of everything above. So what we're gonna have to do is literally drop the whole lot, pour a concrete floor slab that we've got to build our extension off. We're building a that off of a floor slab rather than strip footings because the ground's so bad. We're going to take that slab through into there, under this pillar, and that'll give us a good solid floor. We'll have to rebuild a middle pillar here, pick the steels up, rebuild a bit of stonework over the back. That'll be okay. Like the more drastic way, it's actually the easier way of achieving those big openings. So these are the walls where we want the openings to be, because you're going to step down out the lounge into here, which is your kitchen. Obviously that's a bit small and pokey, and then you don't want to walk out through there into your new extension. So what we're going to do, so we'll do that. Yeah, we're going to get these steels in, create a nice big opening, and then the whole thing will just flow through into the extension. These are the new extensions we've got to do. Like I was saying, the ground's so bad, normally it's easy peasy, just dig a strip footing all the way through, fill it with concrete, and that's fine. Because the ground's so crap, we've got to do what's called a raft, which is like a concrete slab, so it'll come out a bit wider all the way around, and it'll be filled with like steel mesh in like the certain areas, like where the walls are going, where this pillar we need to strengthen, we'll have a load of steel mesh in it. And then you pour the concrete in round in one big slab across the whole thing. And I think that's just so it's got so much like mass on the ground, it can't sink, you know, whereas when you've got quite a thin footing, that's got potential to sink. There's a lot more work than I wanted to do actually, but you can't alter the ground really. Inside where we've studded off some of the walls, that's like these orange lines here. That's just so on the external walls especially, we can get some insulation against it, keep the house a bit warmer. This is that staircase I'm going to cut out in a minute. This is the party wall I was talking about with the block, and this is the opening I'm going to cut out for the stairs upstairs to this one. Cut that one out, and that'll let Nath get all his blocks loaded out a bit easier. And we'll just have to put some boards across the new hole so you can build the wall. These are the upstairs bedrooms. They've got a flat roof on them, which is this orange one in here, flat roof. Third plot, so 1 and 2 are fairly similar, apart from we're squeezing a third bedroom into the second one, which we can't fit in this one. This third plot is a bit smaller. Because of that, we can't do the same roof idea on this one. There's still not enough room. We'd only end up with a 1 bed. So on this house, we've got to come up a 2nd story on the back stone walls, which I'll show you. And that'll give us 1 and 2 bedrooms. Gibbs, hunky dory. Just getting ready. We had to cut out the floor yesterday, and there was a couple joists we'd only put in there like temporary because we weren't 100% sure where the hole was going to be cut out for the staircase. So now we know where that's going. I'm just finishing off any bits that got left out first time. So like we missed a couple of these, didn't go in the joist there, so I'm going to put them in a minute. They can be resin. Got another one on that side to go in. And then while I was doing it, I just spotted a couple that got missed over there. So I'm just doing them. Get that done for a minute. Drilled them holes, got a load of resin in there, hammer the thread in as far as it'll go, and then just do these up finger tight for a minute, and then within the next half hour, definitely an hour or so, that resin's gone off rock solid. You just get a spanner and crank them up, and that holds it all nice and tight. Basically what I'm doing is marking out where we're going to cut a hole out for the stairs. Where these walls are so far out of plumb, like look at that, like we've got to bring that wall back up right. And if you like, that's a good, what, 150 mil out of plumb, something like that. So we're going to do this wall in a 2x2 stud, just because that's too much to try and dot and dab a plasterboard, bring it out that far. So I'm going to just plumb up off a 2x2, mark it on there, and then I know that is where that wall's going to come up. And where I've marked that line, we set our staircase, the hole for the staircase out back from there, and it should be in the right place.
Okay, so it's nice to finally be getting some tiles down on the roof. So you can see we've got our fascia board fitted now. We've put our eaves carriers on, etc. And we're just going through now doing the shouldering I was talking about. So this is where you run out your first course all the way through. Your second course goes on top. But like I was saying, those batting gauges, where they're tighter than 11 inches, you've got to cut the shoulder off of the tile beneath to make the tiles sit comfortably. It's a bit of faffing around really, it's a lot of work. You go through a whole course, then a second course you put on top and you cut the shoulder off of the one underneath so they all sit nice. Luckily I think we only had 2 courses that we had to cut on this front. Spend a bit of time going through, cutting all of them, and then pretty much go back through, take them all off, stack them to one side, and then we can climb up and down and start putting our tiles through. So once we've got the bottom courses shouldered, we then go through and mark all our gauge lines, kind of left to right or right to left. Just like there are plumb lines that we make sure the tiles hit every metre or so, whatever the gauge is. I can't quite remember, but go along and do them, and that just helps you keep the tiles in a straight line as you go across the roof. And then we go through and we just fit our 3 or 4 courses at a time so that we can get a fixing in. You just have to drill a hole in these old tiles and put a nail in every few courses, which is quite time consuming. Even though they're old clay, they seem to be like rock hard. We burnt through a load of drill bits trying to get it all sorted, but it's got to be done. So go through, yeah, like I say, every few courses, fix them. So when we stripped the roof off, there was all sorts of different tiles. Like, I mean, these are all pan tiles or single Romans, whatever you want to call them, but there's 2 or 3 different shapes to them, and they were all on the roof, all higgledy-piggledy. So once we had the whole lot stripped off the roof, we kind of went through and sorted them or graded them a bit, and we managed to get enough of all of one shape to do the front. So we've used all them on the front, and it's a lot of extra work to get these old tiles to sit nice and look pretty. Like, as you can see, you know, there's a lot of putting them on and off and rejigging them. Whereas if we had new concrete tiles or something, you know, we'd bang them on super fast. They've all got holes pre-drilled. You just nail them when you need to nail them and get all that done. But I think it's worth all the extra effort to go through, because the roof looks really good. And even though, you know, it's a brand new roof, it looks like it's been there forever because the tiles are so nice and got so much character. The reason we're focusing on the front of the build is so we can drop the scaffold. That's why we've got all the pointing done on the front, got the fascias on, trying to get the front roof finished and get all that done so we can get rid of the scaffold, and the scaffolder can then put that front scaffold around the back of the house where we need it there. So that's why we're pushing on with the front, trying to get the front finished. Everything's done. We don't need to come back to that. And then because most of the work is around the back of the house, we can get the scaffold around there and focus on that.
So yeah, this is the new roof. The same tiles that came off, all the nice ones we've managed to put back on. We had enough nice ones to get the front done. These tiles are a bit of a pain. Pan tiles, they're just a pain to put back on a roof. It takes a lot of effort to get them to sit nice. So it takes a lot more work than, say, just banging onto new roof tiles. But I think it's worth the extra effort because these are such old cottages. We've got the original tiles back on. Even though it's brand new, it looks like it's been there forever. So I think it's worth the extra hassle. Only a couple bits to finish. I've got all the lead work done on that side. I've got to finish the lead on this chimney. That fire chimney, we just got a couple more cuts to put in, and then we'll be on the back side of it. The other bit we've done is the fascia board, got that on there. That's nice. Tony's coming to paint that this week, hopefully. And also we've raked out all the joints on the stonework here, ready for repointing whenever we get around to doing that. I think last time we stripped the roof off and we could see these walls were so wonky where they're so old. Like that one there was like coming out a couple inches. This one was leaning in, I think. And all the way down through it was like real wavy. So what we did, we stripped off the worst bits stonework wise. So the top 3 or 4 courses we stripped down in this area. And we had to like lean them back to try and get them as straight as we can. We did that most of the way through. I mean, it's still a bit wavy, but you'll see in a minute on the fascia, we've got the fascia really nice and straight. Harry, one of Joey's lads, had to spend ages scribing a detailed bit of soffitting underneath. That took a while, but I think it looks really nice. So yeah, if you've got any questions, anything you want to know about what we're up to so far, just let me know.